Hello, everybody. This is Shine Pipes, Pipes and Politics. Welcome to the first episode. A friend of mine, Bill Vandergraaf from Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, has come by to tell us about law enforcement against prohibition and tell us some stories and share some of his thoughts about the whole issue. So I'm gonna light up a joint here, and Bill, I guess if you want to tell people about your group, and
You don't mind if an old guy sits down, do you?
I would love it. That's why I got you a chair.
Well, thank you
Gotta
for
get
the
comfortable.
invitation to come on Shine, Mr. Shine Pipes, and I appreciate it. I'm happy to be for those that might view this in Shine Glassworks in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where some of the finest glass works are created in the minds of my good friend Ryan. And he's asked me to come on, do a little video with him regarding prohibition, law enforcement against prohibition, and the pot laws in Canada as they stand. So I'm all yours, Ryan. Thanks for having me. And I'm going to join him in having a little hoot here
There
because,
you are.
you know, I'm a medical marijuana licensee, have been for years, and I no longer hide like a criminal, and nobody else should. I'm a retired police officer. I did 29 years in the Winnipeg Police Service. I was the staff sergeant in charge of homicide, major crime, and the street gang unit, so I understand crime. I've arrested many criminals. Pot is not a crime. Possession of drugs is not a crime per se, in my view, either. And we should be treating these situations as social health policies and not by criminal enforcement. That's kind of the basis of my organization, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. It's an international organization of retired, mostly retired, but some active cops, judges, prosecutors, prison guard, anyone in the criminal justice system who bears witness to the harms that prohibition has done in our society. And I've joined that organization because I agree with their view of it. Prohibition has done nothing but harm in our society. It's harmed families. It has created criminals, and for really no reason. I don't get it anymore. And hey, Ryan, I think I should shut up for a minute and let you ask me a question.
Well,
You know,
I think you said a lot.
On a roll. That's some very fine ganja I got.
It is. I think that might is that the stuff that you brought?
I don't know.
Bill?
Don't be telling the public I brought my own.
Oh well, I mean, I brought some too. If it's any. I'm actually not a licensee. Unfortunately,
I can't still shake my cop sort of attitude sometimes. I like to, you know.
Oh well, I don't mind. Give me a hard time. I deserve it. I think.
Hey, you're an adult, and I don't know what the hell the government thinks they're doing by prosecuting adult people who and forcing adult people to make choices between their own personal health and committing a crime. And that's what the government is doing. It's outrageous, and it must stop. We don't make people choose between committing a crime and their own personal health. Of course, people are going to choose their own personal health, and any crime that you call a crime, Mr. Harper, I'm sorry. Marijuana is not a crime. Get over it.
Oh, the fact is, for like many people, cannabis is good for what ails you.
Oh,
For a wide variety of things, and it's less harmful to your body than most things that you'd be told to take.
Well,
for those problems.
You know, when I was a police officer, of course, did police work. Ryan, alcohol, like in many businesses, is a big part of the business. You know, celebrating and getting together with your colleagues and whatnot. So alcohol is huge. And I'll tell you what, I haven't had an alcohol binge in many, many years. I bet you 8 years now since I started on my medical marijuana routine. It helps me stay away from liquor. It helps me with many other issues. It also helps me deal with my daughter, who I provide with medical marijuana because she's, like you, is unlicensed, and She can't get a prescription. They won't give her a
It's not
prescription.
easy.
She's got a very serious disease. The stuff is immensely helpful for her and her medical condition, which is and her whole behavior and demeanor, right?
I just thought of something. It's not really strong, but we would have had a slight hallway kind of sound because there are two mics on that don't need to be. I'm just going to shut the other one up. Oh, no, there's only the one, actually. No, we're good. Much better. So that's... you're retired from law enforcement, but have you noticed a change in the approach of active law enforcement towards the issue in recent years?
You know, actually, I haven't noticed that big a change. You know, you got to keep in mind the police will enforce the laws, but what I do find is that the discrepancy between law enforcement agencies across this country and in various jurisdictions in this country, where discretion is used in some areas and enforcement is used in other areas, and some people are criminalized, and in Vancouver they're not, or in Toronto they're not, yet in Winnipeg they are. This is not a consistent policy across Canada, is it? We can't have our police officers deciding what is a crime worth prosecuting. A crime is a crime. So let's either decriminalize or legalize, and let's get on with it. We don't need to have our police wasting their time. It is the single largest area of disrespect for law enforcement, I would say, in this country today. And you'll see a big change in law enforcement. You'll see a lot of big advantages to the community. The law enforcement, I think, will have an easier time in many communities. Instead of going in 1 week and busting somebody in the neighborhood for growing or selling pot or selling drugs, and then having a murder in the same area and trying to go into that community and seek information from the people the same community you've been harassing.
It's a huge segment
months.
of the population that uses cannabis.
That's right.
I've heard a lot. Most numbers I hear are somewhere around 30% in Canada.
Well, I'm sticking to my 20% that I've
20, that's like as many people that support the NDP. Well, more these days, actually.
Well.
But anyways, yeah, the issue of legalization in the next election's a pretty interesting one, I guess. I really hope that the matter gets settled once and for all, really.
Well, I mean, the point...
I think it's our job to make it happen, though. I don't think it's the politicians' job. They're dragging their feet, obviously, because other people really control what they do. We have to keep pushing hard enough that they do it properly.
Well, I agree, and the push will be kept on. And hey, I'm seeing huge changes in the city of Winnipeg since I got involved in some of the local activist groups. The Vapes on Main was set up in Winnipeg, and you know, the intent of that was to show this conservative government, Harper in particular, that hey, I was a retired cop. I know criminals. I know what criminality is. The people I'm dealing with and the people in these vape rooms, just because they're using pot, are not criminals. This is, you know, Harper, you got to start thinking and using your head. You're filling up our jails with people for no good reason, and you're hurting our communities and society at large. You continue fueling crime.
Meanwhile, he'll buy alcohol for kids at his son's birthday party. That actually is a crime. That's bootlegging, I think.
Wow.
Those aren't your kids that you're feeding alcohol, and I don't want my kids fed alcohol at parties without my knowledge and consent.
Well, there's no question pot is safer than alcohol, in my opinion. I mean, when I talk about drug legalization, though, as much as I know about medical marijuana, I'm not talking for any particular drug, be it pot or heroin or cocaine or anything. I'm saying let's take it away from all these drug cartels, stop all the violence that we see in our cities. They just said the same thing in Surrey, BC today, I saw, where police officials are saying that it's the war on drugs that is causing all the recent shootings, and they're asking the federal government to think about ending the war on drugs. Well, this is what we've been saying for years. They're absolutely right. I applaud them for saying so in Surrey, BC. We've got to start getting smarter than the criminals, than organized crime, by taking control of these things ourselves. And by doing that, we can reduce addictions. We can help people. We can provide more for people. So hallelujah, brother.
Great. Yeah, that's exactly, that's what these segments are all about. I gotta say, is it's just such an important issue, especially to my life, making like devices for people to smoke medical cannabis.
Yeah,
with,
you make some of the best pipes I've seen anywhere in the country.
Well, I appreciate that. I sure love what I do, and I want to keep doing it. And I sort of feel like if I want to keep doing it, I need to fight for my right to keep doing it, because occasionally they go into a head shop and take all the stuff and try and shut them down. It doesn't succeed very often, but actually lately when it happens, they tend to end up with a lot of embarrassment, because the community gets quite upset that one of their favorite shops is being harassed.
That's right, and I think these are the kinds of things that are hurting a lot of our communities, where we see this kind of police involvement, where, you know, people don't want to see the police for the most part, you know.
Well, you know what, though? When you do want to see the police, you want to see the police.
You want to see the police when you need the police. Otherwise, you don't want the police, you know, kicking around your pipe shop stores and sniffing around houses to see who's smoking a joint on the deck in the summertime, or who's growing weed. I mean, this is a waste of people's time, of our police officers' time, our justice system time, and it is time that we ended this prohibition.
Yeah,
let people grow their own, for God's sakes, if they want. Hey, I'll be happy to license myself.
For that matter, don't limit who can afford to start a cannabis-based business to millionaires and billionaires. Allow people who have, you know, worked hard to maintain this plant for the many, many years that it was persecuted, to continue the trade that they've spent 30 years learning to do.
Yeah.
Because that's a big problem with the present direction of medical marijuana in Canada. The attempt to shut down all of the small and medium-sized grow operations run by people who passionately care about cannabis.
Well, and you got to understand something, that even the medical marijuana prescriptions and whatnot, with so many various distributors and many people going to illegal marijuana, I mean, this is a nightmare for the police. There's little point in the police even considering a marijuana charge, with people suggesting they're doing medical marijuana, they have prescriptions and this and that. I've seen charges dropped in court. Charges will continue to be dropped in court. The Federal Department of Justice is being remiss in their duty to the public by allowing these kinds of prosecutions to even proceed to court. They should be stayed immediately, and there should be direction made to the various law enforcement that certain cases involving medical marijuana are not subject to prosecution. End of story. It's simple.
That doesn't sound like the Harper government, though. Unfortunately, it's time to get out and vote, which is the real reason that we're doing these segments. This is just hopefully the first of many. So if any of you are listening and have any issues that you really care to talk about, send me an email or a message on Facebook at Shine Pipes, and I'll get back to you, and we'll see if we can get a little segment together. And the other thing is I'm taking election day off, so if anybody needs a ride, you let me know. Okay.
Yeah, get out and vote, everybody, for sure. No, I'm not saying vote for who you want, but
yeah, definitely. I'll drive you to vote for Stephen Harper if that's what you want to do. And I won't ask you who you're going to vote for either. But vote. You might as well. It's all you got right now, and they'll take that away if you don't do it. So, anyways, that's pretty heavy conversation. I think we should light another joint and blow some glass, and I'll get a sip of water here.
I got a beer going if anybody.
Nice. Well, cheers.
I limit myself to 2 in the summer.
I'm gonna have one as soon as I finish making this piece too. I just gotta run in the house for a sec. Okay. Just grab a drink of water and I'll get started.
I don't know what he wills.
Nice. So I got some fancy colors today. I've been saving them for a day where I got to do something fun. So this is a little bit painstaking, but I think it probably looks cool and would be fun to watch. Basically, I'm going to take these different color rods. This is called a Yellow Elvis. It's a really nice, like, kind of creamy, sort of somewhat faded yellow. And then there's this color Slime, which is a bright lime green that goes from transparent to totally opaque, which is a really neat color. And then finally, Unobtainium, which is one of my favorites. It's just a really sparkly blue metallic rod. And I'm just going to kind of combine them together and make a big colored tube and make a pipe out of it.
Cool.
So there's another joint in the ashtray. You can spark her up anytime.
Holy smokes.
I just need probably about another foot.
Do I need to, are we still...
I'll just move you right to...
Is this still live?
There, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Whatever
you like, whatever
I'll just run it
like.
for, like, the first sort of piece of tubing that I make, which would be like...
I put a lot of people into jail for a lot of very serious crimes, and that Harper just annoys the hell out of me.
I think that probably there's been some serious crimes committed, to be honest.
Some of the biggest crimes in this country are fraud crimes, and they don't even give fraud a second look in our cities and our major city police
No, because
departments.
people are making money at it.
And it's disgusting. Yet they want to criminalize some guy who's growing some pot in his basement, or because he's got a sick daughter, or because it makes him feel better. Who cares? Good for him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Son of a bitch. God damn, I get son of a bitch like that.
You know,
okay,
I blow glass sometimes for 14 hours a day, and my fingers hurt a lot at the end of it. And darn if a joint doesn't make them feel a lot better. Okay, I just need one thing here. Put away all of my handles and things like that. I think I have everything else that I would need here, though. Normally I don't use a lighter to light the torch. I use a striker, but I put everything away, so I'll have to dig through my tools in a bit and find it. Oh, careful. I'll light that if you're going to do it on the torch. is a little explosive to the end of a joint sometimes. It can be done, but very carefully.
Well, there you go. Anybody watching that, there's a lesson.
So if you don't want to hurt your eyes, you have two choices. There's the screen, which is the image on there is filtered, or there's some glasses hanging from the planter over there. The screen is nice though. Um, Probably the glasses are a little. Since I put the new lights in, I bet the glasses are a little bit better.
These are actually safety glasses.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're yeah.
I got those ones just so people can watch for short periods, pretty much. I wouldn't do this for 8 hours with those on. They don't really cover that. Okay. First, I'm going to use some of this slime. So, a lot of people spend a lot of money on colored tubing, and probably if I had no time, I would do that. But I really enjoy making tubing this way. It's fun, and it almost makes a product that is many different pieces of glass, but actually has no welds in it, because everything's really seamless. Like, it's almost like it was one piece to begin with. It's not, but it's a different way to put something together than most people do.
Oh.
So basically, you just start blowing air into the hot glass rod here. After a couple of goes, you start to get a nice little bubble going. Trick is to go fairly slow. That way the thick glass and the thin glass even out. How's that joint?
Yeah, well, I think you had your hands full, man.
I will have them free in just a sec. This is like there's another way to do this that's a little faster, but I've just been taking the extra time.
You're making the bowl there?
Actually, I'm going to make the whole pipe this way. This will go pretty well, I think. Pretty well. So there's a nice cavity formed in the hollow rod. So actually, I'll just even it out a little, and then I'll be able to have a puff before I go on. Normally, I don't pause in the middle of a piece to puff, but this is kind of a special occasion. So on this show, we'll stop in the middle of pieces to puff. That's just the way it goes around here. Okay, so I have a nice little bubble made, and it's the start of something much bigger. So you can light it off the torch. You just have to like find the spot about an inch away from the torch that'll light it. Because that's a hot torch.
Oh yeah, I see that.
So I'm just going to make it a little bigger, and then I'm going to start adding other colors. This technique is called a blowout, because you're blowing the gather out of a rod.
How many professional glass blowers would we have in Canada?
Professional?
Oh, you're
It's
professional.
a really hard guess. I would say there are hundreds, probably. Um, I might be overstepping, but I think there are probably hundreds at least. That would include scientific glass blowers and um, my friend Kevin McKay at the Forks. He makes like figurines and things like that.
Oh, yeah,
There's
yeah.
just so many different things. It could be thousands actually. Yeah,
How
glass
many
blowing.
in
I mean,
is Shine Glassworks dedicated solely to bongs and cannabis?
no. Although for the last couple of years I've been focusing on it pretty hard, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, I just part of it is a bit of my rebellious nature in that a lot of people would like it if I would make things that weren't pipes, but the whole reason I'm able to do this is because I made pipes for a living for years.
Yeah.
Um, and it would not be like, it wouldn't be fair to all of my friends that supported me while I was making pipes, for one, because, I mean, they like the pipes that I make, and they want them. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I just feel like pipes have become art at the same time. I don't feel that it's less artistic anymore to make a pipe than another object. That being said, I really like making goblets and marbles and pendants and things like that when I have time, but it takes a lot of practice to stay really good at stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
if you don't do it regularly, but I do tube work every day.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing to do. And that's something that blowing glass for a long time has taught me, actually, is that you're going to like doing some things, you're going to not like doing some things, and you want to like what you do. So um, focus on the things that you really enjoy doing in glass blowing. You can't do it all. Um, and since I've been really focusing on that, I'm doing much better at it.
Yeah.
So it's actually, I'm hoping to start making tubing for other glass blowers, mostly.
Oh, yeah.
That way I get to collaborate with everybody. Okay, now for the color. This is the unobtainium. So the slime and the unobtainium are really neat together. This is probably the bowl end, I would say. I'm just going to make a big spoon. Keep it simple, something I can finish in a reasonable time frame. Once you get a bubble going, it's actually pretty easy to blow out the bubble again after you've put some new color on it. The bigger it gets, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
And now it's more like it's one piece too, because it's all started as a rod and sort of became tubed together.
Well, some of your larger bongs that I see on display here, how long would that take to finish product, or
1 to 3 days, I would say.
depending on size and
Yeah, this piece will take less than an hour, maybe half an hour.
oh yeah.
For how pretty the colors are in these pieces, it's pretty quick, I think, actually. Okay, the real fun begins when I start blowing another slime bubble from the unobtainium. Now the color is going to look really different in this next section than it did in this one, because it's going to be a blend of the two colors. It's pretty cool, I think. I figured out a way to have it sort of the same, where it isn't a blend, but is very seamless too, but I really like it when the color blends. And that's something I'll show later. I won't give away every secret I know all at once. Gotta keep listening. Okay. This should blow out really easily now. I'll get a fairly decent section right away. Whoop. I've done better. It's not too bad. It got started though. What's that?
Nothing. Nothing.
So the reason I can't wait until the end Prohibition is because I'll be able to go and blow glass in like some awesome places when that happens.
Well,
like,
exactly. I mean, it's this is going to create a whole economic industry, create jobs.
Yep.
No
there already is a culture.
They can
there
create
just
social health jobs with it if they like to. For particularly, I was talking to Judge John Guy some years ago, the head of the court, drug court in Winnipeg, eh? And I asked him, I said, well, what about the pot offenders coming in through? I mean, you offer the crackheads and the heroin addicts, or the whatever, treatment and option to conviction for a crime, eh? And every one of your marijuana offenders would prefer to pay the fine. They don't want to get involved. He says that's exactly right. They don't.
The saddest part about that is that in order for them to, they're actually willing to go along with something that says them partaking of something they should be free to do as a crime.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where people are afraid these days. They want the security of a government that controls a lot of aspects of their life, I guess.
That are involved in using medical marijuana illegally, for example, that are in very, very high positions in Winnipeg society, in various positions, that it's ridiculous now to even consider criminalizing people. They got to open it up to some dispensaries and
definitely neighborhood places.
The neighborhood dispensaries, little vape lounges. I'll tell you what, that alone will help reduce crime.
Yep. Make it socially
make it a socially acceptable alternative to sitting in a bar guzzling alcohol all goddamn day. Sorry.
But if you don't want people to do it all up and down the street, provide regular places in every neighborhood that they can easily go to do that.
Hey, nobody's saying that there's got to be a free reign on everything.
Yeah, people don't drink beer up and down the street either.
It's got to be regulated and controlled to a certain degree, and so does the home grows.
That being said, I kind of do it in the street more because it's illegal. Like 420, for example. I make a point of going to do it publicly, where I wouldn't if it were illegal, because there'd be no need.
Having people hiding in back lanes and in alcoves on the streets. And with the vaporizers now that are out there, you can't tell who's puffing and who's not. So, the cops might as well forget about it.
Well, I can tell you at 420 they pretty much did. They were sure.
Well, they have for a while. Any
It was
large
excellent.
gatherings, they will. But
Yeah, it was excellent.
but
They were very
that's not
social with the crowd and everything.
and that's good to see. And unfortunately, there are some officers in the city police who still view themselves as drug warriors.
Yeah.
Uh, and really, I don't think. I mean, I don't ask them not to do their job, but I say, hey, I mean, there's so much discretion going on in this country, never mind in this country, from municipality to municipality. In one end of the city, in the poor end of the north end of Winnipeg, for example, a young Aboriginal kid walking down the street with a gram is going to get jumped by the police and done for sure.
Yeah, but they do generally let me away with it.
For simple gang.
They'll make me like throw it in the river
right,
or something if they catch me.
In many cases,
and I politely
I'll tell you what,
acquiesce.
You don't see the same. You don't see.
Just like I would to a mugger, though.
You don't see kids in River Heights being jumped like that, or walking up Gordon Avenue, or up even Pembina Highway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a whole different attitude, eh? And they use the drug war as a gang suppression technique.
Yep, for sure. Well, that's originally why they criminalized it too, was fear of minorities. Not that gangs are minorities, but that's where the whole idea was, to keep it out of ethnic communities. And to be able to willingly harass any ethnic community they wanted.
They knew that it was the ethnic communities using it. Like the Africans bringing their pot and stuff to Winnipeg.
I guess that sort of is a whole separate issue, though. Like, there's a difference between policing and a police state. Like, every community needs policing, but the world is transitioning more and more into a police state.
Is it ever?
Where it is pervasive in every you're told what's acceptable in so many more aspects of life than is necessary. Don't we want a world where there's people thinking as many different ways about things as possible, so that we can solve problems from as many different angles as possible? I don't see a problem with some people thinking cannabis is a great thing and some people not wanting to do it at all.
That's right. Because you don't like something doesn't mean somebody else who does should be a criminal.
Yeah, they're not hurting you. None of us pot smokers are hurting you. If you're someone that thinks that it should be illegal.
I gotta check my message here.
Okay. I think we should wrap up the segment. Do we have another joint rolled?
I'll get one going right away. Let me check my messages.
I'm going to finish this later on streaming, but I think it's time to get a beer going and have another joint and stuff. So I'll be back with my regular stream in like an hour or so, and I'll finish this piece off. Thanks for tuning in to Pipes and Politics, and thanks, Bill, for coming in and talking to us. It's been really great.
My pleasure, man.
And
always good to see
hopefully
my good
we
buddy
can
Shine
talk again
Glasswood.
before the election, because
hey, we're gonna get out there.
We gotta get out the vote, you know. But
sure.
And like I said, if you need a ride, let me know. Okay, good night, everyone.
Good night.